Hello everybody and welcome to one player every Premier League team should buy this January transfer window. A lot of teams are going to be struggling, financially and everything like that, but there's one key player your team needs this January to try and either keep you above in the Premier League so you don't go down to the Championship, or try to win you the league, or try to just make European football in general, or survive the Premier League. We're starting off with Arsenal, and I think this one just makes sense. Mudryk. They've been probably the most linked team to this man, and this man has been absolutely insane in the past 2 seasons of his career. He's a young, very powerful, accelerated forward. I think he's going to be an absolutely brilliant signing. I want to see him in the Premier League no matter what team he goes to. It'd be brilliant to see him, yeah. He's going to cost you around 45 million euros. Which is a lot of money, I understand that, but teams nowadays will be able to pay that, especially Arsenal. With Manchester City, I'm going to go with Renato Sanchez. This is a bit of a self-explanatory one. I feel like their midfield could do with a bit of an upgrade. Players like Gundogan, I feel like, are on their way out at this point. Every once in a while, he might hit some top form. But I feel like you just need to move on from a player like that. Renato Sanchez is going to cost you around 28 to 32 million euros. So not a lot of money you're going to have to be putting down. Manchester City have already made their first signing as well. That has been confirmed. So Manchester City are moving differently this transfer window. And I feel like they're not going to be spending that much money. But these players could have a massive effect on winning them the title this season and catching up with Arsenal. To Newcastle United, my club, obviously. It's got to be James Maddison. There's a lot of players I could have picked here, but James Maddison feels like he's the only one that makes a bit of sense. The midfield does need upgraded. Sean Longstaff's still playing week in and week out, and if we're trying to battle for top 4, which at this point we're trying to battle for the Premier League title, you're going to need a better player than Sean Longstaff in the midfield. Jonjo Shelvey's most likely on his way out. With his injuries and everything, you've just got to kind of sack him off and get rid of him. James Maddison's going to cost you around 35 to 40 million pounds, which actually isn't that bad in my opinion. Manchester United now, this is a weird one. I don't think he's ever been talked about to a link to a Premier League side, but Karim Benzema, I feel like it's self-explanatory yet again. Manchester United need some goal scoring in their team this season. I mean, Marcus Rashford's on top form, to be honest with you, but Ten Hag, I don't know what's going on with him. I know it was like this disciplinary act or whatever, but dropping Marcus Rashford's just pointless. You've got Martial. He's not reliable. He's really not reliable at all. I feel like Benzema, if they'd just win the Ballon d'Or as well. I get that he's old, but you've just brought in Casemiro. You've got Varane already. If you bring Benzema in, you've got like 3 to maybe 4 even Champions League winners on your side there. It's massive. Benzema in today's market will still cost you around 50 or 60 million euros, which is a lot of money for someone at that age. But I'm not surprised when he's just won the Ballon d'Or. Now on to Tottenham Hotspur, I'm going with Pedro Porro. Apparently they're actually really close to confirming this transfer. I know Emerson just has not worked out in the Tottenham shirt, and I'm not surprised they're after another right back. Doherty's, you just can't rely on a player like that anymore. When you're trying to battle for top 4, you're still in the Champions League, but you've still got Doherty starting for you. It's just not going to work. Pedro Porro is going to cost you around 35 to 37 million. Liverpool now, I'm going with Frankie de Jong. I mean, Liverpool's midfield is just abysmal this season. Fabinho doesn't play. Henderson's not really reliable, although he's a great captain week in and week out. Arthur's come in on loan and he's fucking injured, so you've just got no chance there, really. I think Frankie de Jong will be a brilliant sign. If you nab him before any other Premier League side, you're going to get him for around 65 to 70 million. Fulham, I'm going with Alvaro Morata. Bit of a weird one here, but I feel like Fulham could have someone to back Mitrovic up, either when Mitrovic is injured or when he needs a bit of a rest. Or you could play both of them up top at once. Fulham are going to look like a deadly side there. They're already, I think, 6th in the Premier League this season. They could do a lot of damage with Morata in there. He's got the experience. In today's market, though, he's still going to cost you around 30 to 36 million. Chelsea, Rafael Leao. I wanted to go with a centre-back, considering they've already got about fucking 8 centre-backs on their team. But Rafael Leao, self-explanatory. What a player, what a young talent. He still had a good World Cup as well as what he was like in the Champions League in the group stages, and then just overall what he's done for Milan, it's unbelievable. This lad is something special. We need him in the Premier League. He's going to cost you around 80 to 88 million. Brighton, I've went with Mudryk. I couldn't really think of anyone for Brighton. I feel like their team can actually just make Europe this season without any signings. But Mudryk would just push their team even further. I feel like he'd have a good link up with Trossard, Solly March, although I feel like he's a player I need to get rid of. Yeah, again, Mudryk's going to cost you around 45 million. Brentford, I've went by Amrabat. Apparently they're actually linked heavily to him, and in today's market anyway. Amrabat, what a World Cup he had with Morocco, I tell you what. He was unbelievable. Could he do it in the Premier League? I don't know. The Premier League's different, that's all I'm going to say. But if they do go in from Amrabat's going to cost you around 30 to 35 million. Crystal Palace is the exact same. Amrabat, I feel like he could just sort their team out so well. And Palace, they're such a mediocre side. Some weeks they'll be really good, some weeks they'll be really bad. It's just, I don't understand how Crystal Palace really work in today's system. But Amrabat, yet again, he's going to cost you 30, 35 million. Aston Villa, this is massive. João Felix, apparently they're actually linked to him, so he's the only player I could think of as well with them being linked, but this is the first signing where it's going to be a loan. I don't think Atletico Madrid would let him go on a transfer. I think a loan, maybe the option to buy for around 40 to 50 million would do. I know they paid massively for him a few years ago, but he just has not lived up to what they paid for. He's not lived up to anything, really. I don't rate João Felix myself, but I feel like he could really sort Aston Villa out, and they need that bit of boost. I feel like he'd work well under Unai Emery as well. Leicester now, well, that it has to be a goalkeeper, and it is Brandon Austin, the reserve goalkeeper for Tottenham Hotspur. You're going to need a young goalkeeper coming in. You can't be going in for your Dubravkas and that anymore. You've let Schmeichel go and you haven't replaced him. That just didn't make any sense. Danny Ward is your number one keeper. I don't understand it. The only problem with this is Brandon Austin has not had a lot of experience, and he is still going to cost you around £5 million. If Leicester are willing to splash the cash like that, then do so. Leeds, I've went with Pedro Porro. Could not think of a player. Christensen just has not really lived up to the hype around him. You could even try and mix Christensen to a left-back or maybe even a centre-back, sort of like a right centre-back role. Pedro Porro, though, is a massive talent and we need him in the Premier League. So one of these teams needs to pick him up, like I've said. Pedro Porro, like I said before, 35, 37 million. Bournemouth, I've went with Jamal Lascelles. Just for my well-being, to be honest, get him out of Newcastle. I still sort of rate him, but we need to move on from players like him, Sean Longstaff, John Joe Shelby. I don't understand why these players are sticking around. Lascelles as well, we could get a bit of money for him, about 7 to 9 million. You could even push it on to 10 if you really wanted to. And I think Bournemouth would pay cash like that for a player like Lascelles, who still has the talent. He's still pretty solid. He's got a lot of experience in the Premier League already. Bournemouth might need him to stay up. Everton, I've went with Sean Longstaff. I can't explain this one, to be honest, but I don't want Longstaff playing at Newcastle any longer. I do believe that there's something there, though. I do believe in Sean Longstaff. I believe he's a good, solid player, but I just don't want to see him in Newcastle. If we get James Maddison in, Sean Longstaff's going to struggle getting game time. You might as well let him go. Get a bit of cash for him. He's got a release clause of around 15 million, but I think Everton might try and pay a little less, of like 13 million, 14 million-ish. Any price over about 10 million for me will do. West Ham then. I've went with Youssoufa Moukoko. I don't know how to say his first name. Around 27 to 29 million for Moukoko. Young, prolific striker, really good at goal scoring. It's all you need. He's fast, nimble. He can even do a bit of playmaking there, and then he can pass the ball pretty well. He plays decent balls into the box, and he's on the end of a ball when it's played into the box. You need someone like that at West Ham, especially when you've got Bowen and Ben Rama who can play them balls in. Even Declan Rice can play a good ball in every now and then. So I feel like Moukoko could be a good option. Although, if it's up to Moukoko himself, I don't think he'd want to play for West Ham. He'd want to play for a bigger club in the Premier League. At the end of the day, it's down to the club. Tottenham Forest then, I don't think they need to spend any more money, although they probably will not stay up this season, unfortunately. I just went with the Curtis Jones loan. I feel like it's just like pretty obvious. Just get someone little in on loan. Curtis Jones, give him a bit of game time, get him a bit of experience. I feel like it would be solid in the midfield. We've got Morgan Gibbs-White right in front of them. They could pair well together, two Englishmen. But just a loan, and if you have to buy Curtis Jones, he's only going to cost you just below about 15 million anyway. So I say just go for it. Wolverhampton Wanderers have went with Mudryk. Like I said, a Premier League team needs to pick Mudryk up. This is the third team that needs to get him. Around 45 million yet again. I don't need to explain why you need Mudryk any longer, but Wolves could look and have a really good, solid end of the season and keep themselves afloat in the Premier League if they sign Mudryk. They've already got Mateus Cunha. Mudryk could work very well with Guedes in there as well. They could have a big front three. Southampton is the last team here. They are currently last in the Premier League as well. You'd think maybe go for a goal scorer, maybe try and upgrade the defence, which is slightly what I'm doing here. It's a bit of a mix because he's a wing back. I've went with Jeremy Frimpong. I really want to see him in the Premier League. I like him. I just like him. He can play brilliant balls into the box. He gets up, he gets back, he can defend well. Around 25 million though. I don't know if Southampton would be willing to spend that kind of money. We'll wait and see. If everybody did enjoy this first video on this YouTube channel, I would appreciate you to share the video around, try and get this channel to 1,000 subs as fast as possible. That would be my dream goal, people. Please smash that like button, subscribe to this YouTube channel, turn notifications on. I'm going to try and get an upload out every single day for you lot, and there might be some live streams coming along with them uploads. But if you have enjoyed, like I said, please smash that like button and share these videos around. That would help. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.